What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Banlist update video. Sorry I haven't been uploading anything new lately. Several complicated reasons have come up that have slowed my ability to make new videos down. And to put it simply, it's mostly about my job. But for the most part, they seem to have been straightened out, so I'm back into making content. And what a better way to start than a brand new ban list. Now, given that they've done more than unlimited 3 cards, they're already doing a better job than their last ban list, though after reviewing my video, I do need to admit that I was a bit harsh in the way they were handling it. But this ban list finally dropped, and it gave us actual hits to actual problematic decks that has started to even out the playing field a little bit. But you'll see what I mean when we take a closer look. 3 cards were banned. First up, Block Dragon. We all kind of saw this one coming. Adamancipator and Megalith alike were abusing this card, plus the occasional Gem Knight build, and I said myself to a few of my friends that if Gallant Granite is allowed to live, Block Dragon really can't. They also banned Jet Synchron. To be honest, there's nothing really inherently wrong with Jet Synchron itself, but the current top decks abused him way too much and board build off of a single card like Jet Synchron way too easily. We do still have single card board builders, but they're just blatantly not as good as Jet Synchron, so it makes sense that they would get rid of this instead. And they banned Mecha Phantom Beast Olion. I was really hoping they wouldn't. Olion is kind of a cornerstone in Mecha Phantom Beast decks, but it seemed like the most likely target. Now 4 cards were put to limited status and are only allowed at 1 per deck. The first one is Double Iris Magician. Anyone who's seen my Twitter account knows that I have an immediate bias toward anything pendulum related. From the start, I've always seen them as an overpowered mechanic with too much inherent resource capabilities. And yes, Link Era did fix that for the most part, but I'm still hesitant because I kinda still have shell shock from it. But I guess if they're going to let anything come back to the pendulum side of the game to make it more fair, I guess Double Iris at 1 is okay. The Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche, this one has me excited. I used to use Bardiche all the time in my all-dark deck, and it really set the deck up and allowed it to make a lot of fun plays. Add to it that we have the Phantom Knights Raid Raptor support coming in soon, and it makes sense as to why they would put this back to 1. Called by the Grave going down to 1. This genuinely upsets me. This was probably the best card for handling hand traps such as Ash Blossom and Effect Veiler, while not really doing anything to the major hand traps that people are starting to use more now, like Nibiru and Impermanence. Okay, Impermanence has been used for a while, but you get my point. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why they limited this card. I can only assume that they did this to either help Drytron play better, or to promote the use of 3 tactical talents, which is really sad and I don't want that to be true. If they do plan on us using 3 tactical talents, they had better be prepared to make that card cheap. And Harpy's Feather Duster finally coming off the ban list to 1. We've been waiting for this one for quite a while. Lightning Storm's existence kinda solidified it, so at this point it was just the waiting game. 4 cards are now on the semi-limited status and are allowed at 2 per deck. Seer Malabranch of the Burning Abyss makes sense. Burning Abyss really aren't doing very much anymore, and they kinda need that little bit of a push. Same goes for Graph Malabranch of the Burning Abyss, and the fact that Called is now down to 1 means that they have a bit more wiggle room to play. ABC Dragon Buster going from 1 to 2. Little bit less optimistic about this one. ABC really had the ability to abuse being able to assemble and disassemble at a moment's notice to gain crazy advantage, and the ABC pieces themselves didn't have once per turn effects, so they could continuously gain advantage from this multiple times in a turn. Now I might be overthinking this a little bit, but I am a little nervous about this one. Totally Awesome going to 2, I'm also nervous about. See, when Toad was at 3, people would just splash multiple Bahamutes into basically any water deck and spam multiple Toads. If they were going to allow Totally Awesome to come back at higher numbers, I honestly wish they had limited Bahamut Shark in some way. That would have made it less abusable in my book. And finally, 5 cards were taken off the ban list entirely and will now be allowed at 3. First off is Machiora the Destructor. This card has been banned for almost as long as Harpy's Feather Duster. Its ability to allow you to play track cards out of your hand is amazing, but it did get an errata that says that it has to go from the field to the graveyard, and if you do use this effect, you can only activate one trap card out of your hand, which in my book is perfectly fine. It means that it won't trigger off of being Exceeds material, but Link material is doable. Tour Guide from the Underworld finally coming back to 3. Well, if they were going to support BA and other Fiend-type decks, this was the easiest way to do it. Evigishki Gustkraken finally coming back to 3. Actually, let me just be honest, why did they let Gustkraken come back? I don't think its hand loop is as viable as it used to be, but it is still a hand loop. I mean, rejoice, Gishki players, you could use the boost, but I'm genuinely curious as to why. Pantheism of the Monarchs finally coming back to 3. Rejoice, Monarch players, you are now back at full power, I think. And finally, Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor. Ooh, what's the right way to say this? So long as Engage stays banned, I guess this is okay. And that is the whole ban list. It wasn't quite a grandiose wave of hits and limits and unbans as I was expecting it to be, but it hit most of the problematic engines while also tapping a few other problematic stuff, and allowing some other cards off the list to finally have their fair share of playing again. Like I said though, I'm really upset about Called being hit down the 1, but I'm sure I could probably find a way to play without it. But this means that I will have to reformat and redo every deck I own, since nearly every deck ran Called by the Grave. Which means you should be expecting to see a bunch of new deck profile videos coming out soon. Regardless, I thank you guys for watching the Banlist update video, and look forward to seeing new content coming from me very, very soon. In the meantime, this has been Anashi, signing out.